got a presentation due today. I wonder how to get an A. I went to Google and I went to Wiki just to read up more on Monet. Why is he such a genius? His painting so imperious. 19th century wouldn't be the same if it wasn't for his name. Everybody look up now. Everybody look up now. Can you feel that? Yeah, Claude Monet in the house. It's all about the Monet, Monet, Monet. We all need the Monet, Monet, Monet. Revolutionarian. From him it all began. It's all about the imagination, but exploration from realism to impressionism. Claude Monet. He is regarded by many as the father of Impressionism. To me, he is the artist whose works represent the European art in the long 19th century. During this period, Europe underwent drastic social, political, and economic changes, initiated by the Industrial Revolution, the French Revolution, and the Napoleonic Wars. With the redistribution of political map of Europe at the Congress of Vienna in 1815, Europe experienced the rise of nationalism, the rise of Russian Empire, and the pinnacle of the British Empire. Finally, the rise of the German Empire and the Austrian-Hungarian Empire triggered the series of events that culminated in the outbreak of the First World War in 1914. This century of changes is unprecedented in the history of Europe, and to me, no other artists in the 19th century embodied the word change better than the man whose work gave Impressionism its name, and he is none other than Claude Monet. In his early years, his father wanted him to go into the family grocery business, but Monet wanted to become an artist. His prosperous father could have exempted him from a 7-year period of military service, but declined to do so when Monet refused to give up painting. Had Monet been less determined about his passion for art, he would have become a grocer, just like how most people followed the career path of their fathers during those times. But Monet is different. His decision to become an artist, despite being surrounded by heavy opposing pressures, changed the entire course of his career. When Monet traveled to Paris to visit the Louvre, he saw many painters copying from old masters. Once again, he made an unorthodox decision of change. This time, a change in how an art student would learn. Instead of just copying from the old masters, he would go and sit by a window and paint what he saw. From the late 1860s, Monet's paintings were met with rejection from the conservative Académie des Beaux-Arts, which held its prestigious annual exhibition at the Salon de Paris. While many artists of the time would conform their art styles to the approval of the exhibition, Monet veered away from the traditional pathway to success and changed the avenue in which his works will be exhibited. In 1873, he and other like-minded artists organized the Anonymous Society of Painters, Sculptors, and Engravers to exhibit their works independently. This painting, which Monet called Impression Sunrise, is arguably the most iconic Impressionist painting, and the very painting that gave Impressionism its name. While many established artists of the time, such as Gustave Courbet, were loyalists of realism, Monet was able to change the way he observed and painted his subjects. In this painting, Monet took away details from the rendering of the port of Le Havre. In order to accentuate the features of industrialization, he also eliminated existing houses on the left side of the jetty, leaving the background unobscured. To me, what's revolutionary about this art style is that it gives a very clear focus to the content portrayed in the art piece. Without unnecessary details to distract the viewers, they will immediately be directed to focus their attention onto the power and beauty of a revitalized post-war France through the vivid signs of industrialization around the port of Le Havre. Monet is not only a man of change, but also a redefiner of change. Through his artworks, he was able to find change in the unchanging. Unlike many of his contemporaries, such as Van Gogh or Renoir, who would not paint the same composition twice, Monet was able to paint the same subject many times over, each time in a different period of the day or season. One of the best ways to appreciate the change in the unchanging will be to look at Monet's Rouen Cathedral series, where he painted the exact same facade of the cathedral at different times of the day and year. Even though the subject has not changed, the angle has not changed, and the framing has not changed. But through the clever use of color and contrast, Monet made each painting in the series distinctively different from the rest, bringing change to the unchanging. Monet is not only a redefiner of change, he is also an explorer of change. In 1899, he began painting water lilies, first in vertical views with a Japanese bridge as a central feature, and later in the series of large-scale paintings. And for the next 20 years, he painted the same thing over and over again, but each time exploring the beauty of water lilies from a different perspective, capturing their changes in different time, weather, season, angle, and impression. Looking across Monet's entire life, change had been an integral part of his journey as an artist. He first changed the course of his career to be an artist despite overwhelming pressure to follow his father's footsteps of being a grocer. As an art student, he changed the traditional way of learning, which is to copy the masters, but instead painting what he saw. As his own art style gradually took shape, he changed the traditional thinking of the path to success by holding an independent exhibition rather than relentlessly trying to paint for the prestigious exhibition at Salon de Paris. Through his impressionist art style, notably his renowned painting Impression Sunrise, he changed the way a subject is traditionally observed and painted. Being not only an ambassador of change, he was also a redefiner of change. Through his Rouen Cathedral series, he was able to find change in the unchanging. Ultimately, what made him such a great painter is that he was a constant explorer of change, able to have the dedication to paint water lilies for 20 years and discovering new perspectives of them in every painting. To me, the 19th century is a century of unprecedented change. These changes brought rapid progress to Europe. Monet might not be the best painter of the 19th century, but undoubtedly, he is the embodiment of change, not only as a person, but also as an artist. And for that, I think it is very fair to say that Claude Monet is the artist whose works represent the European art in the long 19th century.